I'm David Farrow.
And I'm Kenny Todd.
And I'm Russell Guerard.
And you're watching our guest today is Russell Guerard. Thanks a lot for coming.
Glad to be here.
And you are doing something I find rather brave. You are running against Chip Limehouse for his House, South Carolina House seat. What seat is that?
It's South Carolina House seat 110, and he's the representative right now. I assume he'll run in June of next year. I don't know, but I assume he's running. But
so you're not running against him.
I assume I'll run against him.
But the reason you're doing it is you're not doing it. I'm sick of that Limehouse fellow. I could do a better job.
No, it's something I've been thinking about for a long time, and the time is right for me to run, and we're going to give it a shot. It's not necessarily against somebody, but more or less it's probably for me, really.
Well, why should we vote for you as opposed to, say, Limehouse, who's got all this seniority and so forth and so on?
Why fire him and hire me?
Right.
That's a good question, and I'd tell you that I bring a fresh face to Columbia. You can go to my bio at russellguerard.com. I born and raised here. My family has been involved in politics for a long time. My grandfather was a mayor of Charleston, the governor, and the United States Senator here from South Carolina, Burnett Maybank, and my father was in the State House from 64 to 70. And those guys were what I would consider to be statesmen. And it seems like nowadays politicians, a lot of them seem to want to line their own pockets with some of the things that they do. They take advantage of their constituents, and I just think,
not to be too controversial, give us an example.
I'm not going to go out and name names. I think you guys read the newspaper enough to kind of know what direction I'm going into. But just with 3 young children, a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and just reading about what some of our politicians have been up to over the past, years, I just thought we could do better in South Carolina, and so I'm putting my name in the hat. And I'm a fresh face. I'm a new face, but I've been here a long time.
Yeah.
Russell, I was wondering if elected, is this a job that you would consider a full-time, long-term, or are you more of a term limit kind of guy that would go up and serve your state and your constituents, and after a term or two, turn it over to somebody else?
I would not become a career politician. I'm 49 years old, so I've got other things going on. I would like to be up there long enough where I could accomplish some things, and whether that's 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, I don't know, but I can assure you that it would, it wouldn't be, like I said, a career for me.
And is this the kickoff to your campaign?
Yeah, last year I made up my mind. I talked with my wife and kids about it, and just after reading some things that have been going on, and I made up my mind last year to run, and I talked to some people, and I've talked to a lot of people over the past couple of months, business leaders and that sort of thing, about what I'm doing, and they're behind me 100%. And
so you feel like you've got an underground support?
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't just come into this thing half-hearted. I've been watching this for a long time, and like I said, my grandfather never lost an election. My father never lost an election, and I don't want to be.
You don't want to be the one?
I don't want to be the one. So I'm going at it 100%, and I've got the support of my wife and family and my friends. And
let me tell you,
we'll run at it hard.
You need that. You mentioned that there are certain things that are actually behind your run. Not to beat someone, but there are certain core principles that you feel, obviously, are not being met. Can you give us an example of one thing that has your dander up, that makes you want to go out and say, no, this has to stop, I'm the one?
Well, there's a couple of things. I think, and it goes back to kind of what I've been reading about from some of our politicians, I think that, that ethics is a big deal for me. And if we can figure out a way to police the legislators from probably an independent counsel, I think you'll see good things happening. You know, you couldn't have a football game and have the football players ref the game. That wouldn't make much sense, but that's kind of what it seems like is going on up in Columbia. So I think ethics to me is a huge deal, and also another thing I'd like to see is our government. I'm running as a fiscal conservative. I'm running in the Republican primary. I'm probably socially, I'm probably pretty moderate kind of guy, but financially, fiscally, I'm conservative, and I think we can do a much more efficient job of running our government. I'd like to see us eliminate the state individual income tax, and right now it's up at about 7%. I think we can bring it down, if not get rid of it. There are other ways of income in this state, and we just have to look at it.
Running as a fiscal conservative and a social moderate, the Conservative Party, the Republican Party, has been labeled in a lot of news sources as just a bunch of angry old white men that just don't want to give up the control. You seem to be a fresh face.
Doesn't seem very angry.
No, and
it's kind of middle-aged, too.
I would think that you would run counter to the proposition that it's just a party.
Counter to the narrative, yeah.
You know, I would agree with you. You know, you could say the Republican Party is a bunch of stuffy 70-year-old, 75-year-old white guys, and
like Tim Scott.
You know, I think there's a new group. I think there's a new group that's coming up. I think anyone in their right mind knows that if you don't watch the money, you're going to have a problem. And I don't think that people nowadays should be so concerned about people's personal lives and that sort of thing. I think we need to focus on running an efficient government that we can pass down to our kids and our grandkids in the next 10, 20, 50 years. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. And
we already are.
I'm young enough to know. I mean, I grew up was born in '64, and I grew up in the '80s and '90s, and you know, I was certainly not a perfect child, perfect youngster in college. You know, I had my moments, so I've kind of, you know, I kind of understand, you know, the younger generation and kind of what they expect. But I think the younger generation respects money and respects a government that's run efficiently, and I think that's really, to me, right now, is the most important thing. I could be wrong, but that's just what I think.
Let's say you had a minute and a half to tell the public, right now, you're looking at the public, and you've got a minute and a half to tell them why we should elect you, starting right now.
Well, like I said before, I am a fresh face. I do think that I'm young enough that I represent a younger group of people, but I'm old enough to know that, I don't know if you call it the school of hard knocks, but you know, as you get older, you certainly learn a lot of things, and your opinions change about things, and I will say that I'm young enough that I get what younger people are thinking, but I'm old enough and wise enough to know that we can do this by running a more efficient government and, like I said, make things better 10, 20, 30 years down the road for everybody. If we don't, we're in big trouble. I was born here. I love the Low Country. Raised here. I graduated from the College of Charleston back in 1989. My wife's graduated from the College of Charleston. I've got 3 young children, so I've got a vested interest in our state. My district is basically on the peninsula, and it goes over to Mount Pleasant. And I can tell you that my blood runs Cooper River blue. So I just, I love this place, and I think we can do better. And I just hope the constituents of District 110 will see that and elect me.
Well, good. Thank you very much. Thanks for doing this. I'm David Farrow.
I'm Kenny Todd.
And I'm Russell Guerard.
And thanks a lot for watching.
The Charleston Times.
There you go.